So how would you like your annuity to grow? Well, if you're investing for the traditional income stream idea in a deferred annuity, like I said, immediate annuities, they don't have any growth rate because as soon as you buy them, then income payments start kicking in. But deferred annuities, there's that interim timeline between when you buy it and when you decide for the income checks to start coming in to provide your guaranteed monthly income. So kind of what happens in that gap? Well, there are three main types of growth rates that I want to talk about. The first is a fixed annuity. The second is an indexed deferred annuity. And the third is a variable deferred annuity. So a fixed annuity provides a fixed income stream into your account. So it's got a fixed interest rate in the time between when you buy the contract and when income payments start paying out. So that fixed rate could be 2, 3, 4%. It's going to be relatively low, but it's based on whatever the economy interest rates are in the economy. So interest rates are pretty complex in and of themselves, but if you know rates are relatively low, then annuity payment rates are also going to be relatively lower. If rates are kind of higher in your bank accounts and your mortgage and different things, then annuity payments are probably going to be, on the higher relative scale too. So just depending on what rates are in the economy is going to reflect on what the growth rate is in fixed annuity payments. But in many cases, it's based on when you buy it. So if you buy it and rates are, in the middle level, then they're probably going to stay that way. So a lot of times the rate doesn't move inside a fixed annuity, although it can, depending on which one you buy and from what company. But a lot of times it doesn't move very much. But fixed annuities tend to be, I think, the simplest type of growth rate to understand. And since you pretty much know what you're getting, they're also kind of the most conservative. And you also have no chance of any market risk, no chance of losing money in the market because none of that money is invested in the market. Instead, you're earning that fixed interest rate. And since there's no market participation, then they don't have to be offered by anybody with an investment license. So insurance agents can sell them, can offer them to you. Investment professionals can as well, but they don't have to have an investment license to offer a fixed annuity. So number two, the indexed annuity. Now the indexed annuity also doesn't require an investment license. It only requires an insurance license. But I think indexed annuities may be the most complex of the three. And I'll kind of get into why in a few moments. But indexed annuities they're pretty complex. And that's based on, so the good news, to start with the good news. You don't have market participation, meaning your money is not actually in the market. So if the market is down, then you're not going to lose any money in an indexed annuity or a fixed annuity. So if the market's moving up and down, whatever it's doing, you're not going to lose money in an indexed annuity. So that's one reason why a lot of people like them. However, if the market is up, you may participate in some of the upside, but not all of the upside. Now that sounds confusing, right? Why would you participate in some of the upside? So to start with indexed annuities, you may have heard of an index before. And later on, throughout the entire program we're doing here, I'll talk a lot about indexes and investing in stocks and what all that stuff means. But an index is something that kind of just tracks the broad stock market or the broad bond market, or just a kind of a very large international market. But it's not very specific in what it's tracking. It's just tracking this huge, like all the stocks out there. So to start with, you pick an index, whether you want to track the stock market or the bond market or the international markets, but you pick an index. And if that index is down, you don't lose money. So your account stays flat, which is good. A lot of people like that. But if the index is up, you're going to get a percentage of that upside, and that's where it gets really complicated. Now, let's say you pick the stock index and it's up 10%. You're not going to get the full 10. You might get 5, 6, 7, depending on what crediting strategy you picked. You could even get less than that. So I just mentioned the word crediting strategy. Now, what is that type of thing? So there are probably 10 or more, depending on what type of annuity you buy from what type of company. There's a lot of different crediting strategies. Some of them say, well, let's say the index is point-to-point annual. That means if you buy it and it looks at the market and what the index did from January the 1st through December the 31st. annually, point to point. If it's up 10%, you're going to get maybe a percentage of that, whatever the percentage is. And again, if it's down, you don't get anything. The crediting strategy could also be based on what it does per month, and then it could sort of average that out. But there are a lot of different ways to kind of run the numbers, but the end result is you're never going to get the full upside. You're going to get somewhere kind of in the middle, but you're not going to get any downside. So that's why a lot of people like indexed annuities, because it protects them from market losses, but you're giving up some of that upside potential. But again, it protects you against downside losses, so that could be enough for people who are, again, risk averse and looking for some type of protection in their accounts. All right, so the final type of deferred annuity growth rate is the variable annuity. Now, a variable annuity, anything with the word variable in it, means it does actually fluctuate, right? So fluctuations mean that it actually is tied to the stock market, and it does that through its sub-accounts. And a sub-account is, you got the main account, which is the annuity, and underneath it are these little sub-accounts, and they're just mutual funds. Think about like your 401k, your 401k is the big account, you got this whole account structure, and then individually underneath it, you got these different mutual funds and things that are inside and kind of powering the growth potential of your 401k. And a variable annuity is kind of the same way. You got these mutual funds inside of it that are causing it to rise and fall depending on what's happening. So since it does have market participation, you do have market risk. So if the market's up 10%, then you might get most of that. If the market is down 10%, then you're probably going to be down in that ballpark as well. So there is market risk with variable annuity. There's also, since there are mutual funds inside there are also mutual fund expenses, which can make variable annuities a little bit more expensive than the fixed and indexed annuity options. And since you're participating in the market, people offering them to you, they have to be both insurance licensed and investment licensed to be able to show them to you. So you may say, well, you told me that an annuity is supposed to be some type of insurance product. So if I'm having market participation, and if I could potentially lose money in the market in a variable annuity, then how is that any type of protection? Well, a lot of times with variable annuities, the protection actually comes in the form of one of the riders, which a rider is an option or an additional feature that you can add to the contract. And they're actually the topic of our next lesson. So I'm looking forward to kind of going through what riders are and how they can protect the three different types of annuities and kind of change the shape and what kind of benefits they can provide to you.